Today, we're going to take a look at the moveset origins for one of the craziest Smash Brothers out there, Mr. Game & Watch.
Mr. Game & Watch!
First introduced in Super Smash Bros. Melee, Game & Watch is unique in that he really isn't a specific character. Instead, he's a generic character based on the Game & Watch line of handhelds. But what exactly is a Game & Watch? It's actually a precursor to the Game Boy, and heck, some of the Game & Watches even had 2 screens before the DS. What's really cool about Mr. Game & Watch is that his attacks are based on multiple games, way more than any other character in the Smash Bros. Series. Let's take a look. Mr. GW's most famous move is easily his standard special, Flipping Sausage. Well, this was actually changed in Brawl to include ham and fish to make it more like his origins in Chef, but I digress. His up special is Judge, which is a reflex game where you hit and dodge the other player based on the number that your character randomly draws. Like in Judge, where the higher number gives you a better chance of winning, in Smash Bros, the higher your number, the stronger your attack. Now, how about that up special? Well, the neat thing about it is that it's actually a combination of 2 games, the Fireman from the game Fire, and the Parachute from the obviously named Parachute. It's worth noting that the Parachute was GW's neutral aerial in Melee, but in Brawl it was automatically deployed after using his up special. Since then, his standard aerial was replaced by his Fishbowl from Tropical Fish. And last but not least, Game & Watch's down special is Oil Panic, where he can absorb any energy-based attack and dish it back out as deadly oil. However, unlike its origin game where you're trying to keep the oil off of people, in Smash Bros, you're actually encouraged to get everybody dirty. And by dirty, I mean dead. Now, let's move on to Game & Watch's standard attacks. You see, oh god, I don't think that's safe for children. Can somebody please put a censor bar over that? Okay, much better. This attack comes from the game Greenhouse, where he plays a gardener trying to kill bugs. His side tilt is a chair from Lion, a game where you control 2 lion tamers trying to keep the kings of the jungle confined to their cage. His side smash comes from the game Fire Attack. Take a look at the torch they're using to burn down the fort. It's the same one that Mr. Game & Watch uses. Mr. Game & Watch's up tilt is the #1 flag from Flagman, which is pretty much just a game of Simon. Game & Watch's up smash is his helmet from Octopus. This game might look familiar as the titular Octopus is also GW's final smash. Besides his diving helmet, Game & Watch actually has one other piece of protective headgear. It's hard to tell, but during his dash attack, Mr. Game & Watch wears the exact same helmet as the game helmet. And yeah, these early Game & Watch titles did not have very clever names. And speaking of uncreative titles, let's not forget about Mr. Game & Watch's down tilt, which is his manhole from, again, the obviously titled Manhole. Mr. Game & Watch's down smash, on the other hand, are actually the hammers that he uses in the game Vermin. Oddly enough, he also uses these same hammers in his get up attack, but the motion doesn't come from any particular game. Anyway, let's move on to some aerials. Game & Watch's up aerial turns him into Spitball Sparky. This game was pretty much a ripoff of Breakout, but you could shoot air at the ball to hit it without the ball ever having to touch the ground. Game & Watch's down aerial is the key that you need to save your dad in Donkey Kong Jr. His back aerial is a turtle from Turtle Bridge, where you need to safely deliver packages across a bridge of turtles. Conversely, Game & Watch's forward aerial is a crate of bottles from the Mario Brothers game. Yeah, I bet you didn't know the Mario Brothers used to work in a warehouse. Though, oddly enough, this isn't the only strange job that Mario had on the Game & Watches. He also used to work in a cement factory. The cement factory is actually where GW gets his grab animation from. Speaking of grabs, every single one of Mr. Game & Watch's throws lets him juggle like the game Ball, and when he's not throwing his enemies around, you'll notice that Mr. Game & Watch pummels his enemies with a bell. You see, as the name implies, the Game & Watches were just that, games and watches. When the alarm goes off, a character, which is typically holding a bell, appears on the side of the screen. This is also where Mr. Game & Watch gets his taunts from.
The winner is Mr. Game & Watch.
That's all for now, but if you want more video game awesome, you can go check out my personal channel and my unpopular Metal Gear opinions. Or you can check out the other awesome videos here on Game Theory, such as MatPat's recent 2-part series on how Rosalina might not be the woman you think she is. Still, don't forget to like, subscribe, and tell me which character you'd like to see analyzed next.